Welcome back to your 10-Minute Executive Coach. I'm Paul Burke with Business Acceleration, and this channel is dedicated to those men and women who lead. Whether you lead a small team or a global enterprise, this channel is here to help provide you with some insights and some tools to help you lead well and to help your teams succeed. We're in episode 14 today, and we're talking about storytelling for leaders. Why storytelling? Well, our job as leaders is to persuade, is to rally people, organizations, wherever it may be, to a common goal. And storytelling is a fantastic tool for us to do that. Good storytellers have a competitive advantage over their peers who are not. Organizations that are good storytellers have a competitive advantage over organizations that are not. Now, I come from the sales field, and those sales professionals that were the best storytellers. They could bring their clients along with them to a challenge and success, to a common goal. Fantastic salespeople are good storytellers. Where do we start? We want to become a storyteller. Where do we start? The first thing we need to do is to figure out what our moral is. Where are we trying to take people? What are we trying to improve? Where do we want to take our people or our clients, wherever we may be? What's the objective? Think clearly about that. We have to be very clear on what that moral is, because that will frame our story. But even before we frame our story, we need to remember who our audience is, because we have to talk to them, not through them, around them, or over them, or under them. Our storytelling needs to be centered around them, because they're the ones we want to draw into our story and take along with us on the journey to solve whatever challenge, struggle, or hurdle we have within that story. Every story has a hurdle, and that's where our pivot is, and that's our audience sees that, and we take them along to a solution. Maybe we want to change a behavior in our organization. We tap into our own life stories to where we had struggles with a behavior or a situation and take them along and how we shift that behavior. Now, as I just said, we take our stories. That's where we get our stories from. The best stories are from your own life's situations. Things that have happened to you that you've experienced, that you can speak to emotionally and bring out that feeling to your team. Now, we can also take stories from history. I think that's a great place, talking about historical figures, about how they faced a challenge, a struggle, and overcame that. And you can communicate that through with your people. It's always dangerous to use other people's stories, especially if they're still around or within your organization. We need to have permission to tell other people's stories, or we need, as a consultant, we tell stories all the time. And we need to make sure our stories are anonymous, or we have permission to tell the story from our clients, because we always like to share what others have done to overcome challenges in their businesses. But anonymity is key in that situation. So mind your experiences. Use public, historical are great. If you're using other people, get permission to use that. You do not want to be the hero of any story you tell. Getting in front of a group of people and telling them how great you are can shut them off and you lose them. Remember, our objective is to persuade, is to bring them along, pivot on a struggle, and take them with us to the solution. If you go in front of people and start telling them how great you are and you're the hero, you're the star of the story, you're going to lose them. You need to have a significant role because you're speaking from your own experiences. But keep the heroes outside of you. Let the star be somebody else, and you're telling the story because you experienced it. Now, we talked about that struggle or that challenge within your story that you're pivoting them. Where are we pivoting them to? A solution? A rally cry. Maybe somewhere where they look at that and go, yes, we can get behind that, and that's how we're going to tackle this going forward for our organization. Remember, your story, your challenge has to relate to what your objective is with that team so that they can pivot and have a rally cry going forward. Another critical behavior for storytelling is to keep it simple. We don't want to flood our audience with details that don't matter. Nobody really cares what color your shoelaces were unless it's impactful to the story. Overwhelming your audience with a lot of detail will lose them to where you want to take them. Keep it simple. And also, don't over-dramatize. There's some stories that have a lot of emotion to them, and that's a great storytelling, is to bring that emotion. But we also don't want to tax our audience on a deep, deep emotional and draw them into a sad, terrible situation that unless we're really skillful, that we can't pull them out of. At that point, we can also lose them to where, remember, our objective is to get them somewhere with our story. So you don't want to overwhelm them with details or too much drama as we look at that. When I say keep it simple, I lived in upstate New York for many years, and Coach McPherson coached the Syracuse football team from 81 to 90. Every presentation he began with was short speeches make for long friendships. Write that down, put it on your desk, put it on your windows, your wall, whatever. It's one of the great models in life. Short speeches make for long friendships. Short stories make for long friendships and great actions. We've all been there. Someone tells a great story and you get it. They get to that point. You're on board. You're ready to go rah, rah, rah out the door. And they keep talking. And they end up talking us out of the solution. Now, we always had that within the sales field. When you've sold the product, shut up and take the order. How often we had salespeople would continue and continue and continue, shorten it up. Less is more at all times. Less is more. And whenever you start to develop a story, you need to practice. And practice a lot. Get a camera. Go on Amazon. These are cheap. Do it in front of your family. Practice in front of your peers. Let them hear that story. When I work with executives, especially when we have discovered the core values of an organization as a leadership team, and now the leader of that organization needs to go out and tell all the employees this core value speech, we make sure that she has practiced that and has it down to a tight sense that draws them in and everyone understands where we're trying to go with that core values speech. Do that with your story. Again, you're going to keep it short. It's easy. Practice, practice, practice. Quick summary. Things to do with short stories or with storytelling. I call them short stories, but storytelling. What you want to do is think of your audience. Always keep your audience in mind. Everything is about them. 2, be absolutely clear on what you want to convey. Use your life stories. Now, if you can use some historical life stories, that's great. If you can, I love using Lincoln, as I said. If you're going to use somebody else's story, make sure you have permission, or be very good at anonymous telling of stories or vaguely telling what's going on. Unless we have permission, you don't want to be telling somebody else's story. And what you also want to do is short speeches make for long friendships. Less is more. Things you don't want to do. You do not want to be the hero. You don't want to be the star. And you absolutely, positively do not want to overwhelm your audience with details or drama that can just break them. Those are the simple tasks of being a better storyteller as a leader. In researching this, there's a great article I found in the Harvard Business Journal. It's 2014. I think it was Carolyn O'Hara wrote this in July of 2014. It was published in the Harvard Business Journal. And great on telling stories. So you look back, find that article, keep it handy, keep you reminded. It reminded me of some of the key things that I leverage in storytelling, and she did a great job of keeping it short and sweet. This is your 10-minute executive coach. I want to thank you for joining us. And if you wonder why it's your 10-minute executive coach, because short speeches make for long friendships. Thank you. Have a great day and lead well.